All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings with the Guitarist, powered by the New Jersey Lottery. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We're here at Twin Lights Brewing with Connor Bracken. Connor, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So,
got here 2 hours before you to just sample every beer they have on tap.
that's pretty good.
Had to get ready for this.
I've been here for 30 minutes, and I've already sampled every beer they have on tap. So we should just clarify, you don't own Twin Lights. They're just
Absolutely
been gracious enough to let us use their space.
They are the coolest in the business, and they make a beer with us, or that's very loosely right there because they do all the work, and I just put my face on it. But they do incredible work, and let me hang out here whenever I want to.
That's pretty cool. They haven't kicked you out yet?
Not yet, but we'll see. We'll see how things go.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing the beer, because it's a Irish red ale. We can hold it up for the cameras.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
There you go. Well, this is a good side.
Crack one if you want, dude.
Yeah, we will. Once I get a little parched. So we
rationing your beer supply. I like that.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I'm playing the long game here because I live an hour away. But when I saw that pop up, I thought that was so cool and like a great way. Because like one of the things that I think, and this is just going to go down like a little bit of a rabbit hole for me, but one of the things that I think is, we talked about it off mic before, like content is really important, and doing things like beyond your scope of like what you want to do and what you're good at. Exactly.
Terrible word.
But like this is content, but in like a cool collaborative way with people that you like, and being able to take your brand and their brand, put them together, start cross-pollinating some audiences, and boom, something cool comes out of it.
Yeah, you just got to be way, everybody's talking about trends and everything like that, and you have to just be really creative in how you do it. And that's originally what really attracted me to Twin Lights was I all of a sudden, when we were really starting to go into streaming and stuff like that, and like really invest our time into nurturing that, I was looking at the numbers every day. As you do, it's healthy.
It makes you
I think it
crazy.
makes you a better musician if you look at streaming numbers every day.
Well, is it also a little off-putting? Like, I'm sure this has never happened to you, but like you put something out and it gets like 2.
That happens all the time.
I know. Same with me. This episode might get 2.
Yeah, that's fine. No one wants to hear this. It's even, when you first put it out, you're like wondering if anyone's going to hear it. And as soon as you start putting work in trying to get people to the page and stuff, it starts working. Yeah. But it's a lot of work. But I saw a spike, and I get to see all the playlists that we're on. And one of the playlists that I saw was, we were, for a long time, they were including a Spotify playlist along with the beer, like the songs you're supposed to listen to when you're drinking this beer.
Okay, that's cool.
And I think it was in the Rocktober Ale.
Yeah.
And we were on there, and we just kept in touch, and they were friendly and not crazy, and
that's also good.
It's rare.
Yeah, it is rare.
Rare that
in some
they're not
cases,
an insane person, or it's like a bot running their Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just another person. And then I got to know their story, and they started it like right before the beginning of COVID. And they really had to fight to stay alive. It's a hard thing to be in brewing because, there's now a brewery on every corner.
Totally.
It's always been a dream of mine to have a beer for the band because it's kind of on brand for us.
Sure.
And I get free beer. No, I'm kidding. I don't get free beer. But
now I really want one.
Now you really, it's good. The beer that a man chooses when all of it is free, that's when you know it's good.
That's true.
But no, we just kept talking, and then I invited him to our first show back after COVID.
Okay.
Which was at House of Independence.
Yep.
And that show had been, people were waiting like 2 years at that point for that show because we announced it. I was in Europe, and I was being followed by COVID, and we announced it when I was there.
Yeah.
And I was like, come home, sell a bunch of tickets. The biggest show we've ever had. It's going to be awesome. And then the world shut down. We don't have to talk about that forever. Every podcast also turns into that conversation.
Totally.
What did you do for the 2 years?
How'd you handle it?
Yeah. How did you mentally handle that?
How much beer did you drink?
Turns out very well,
Yeah,
better
same.
than everyone else.
Sure.
But during that time, you had to really find creative ways to stay afloat.
Yeah,
and that's what they did, and I really appreciated that. And then when time came around, I was like, hey, would you guys want to do a beer? And he was like, yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
We met. I sampled many of their beers, but then the idea of an Irish red was thrown out there, and I loved that idea of, an Irish style, but that's not a Guinness.
Sure.
Even I love Guinness, and I always said that you wouldn't be able to get a good Guinness style. He now has one that's amazing. It's the only one that I like other than Guinness, and I'm a Guinness guy. But it's fantastic. And then we found the Project Matters, and we give them all the money from
That's
the beer. So it literally the money gets turned right into instruments for kids in the Asbury Park area.
Amazing.
That can't afford instruments or they can use one. It's I remember I wasn't even in their situation. But that first guitar is actually very difficult to get.
Sure.
When you don't play guitar,
right.
and you want to learn guitar, it's this expense that's
very daunting.
Yeah, and you're a kid.
There's like that the commitment level. Like now you're
you gotta kind of scrape tooth and nail to get that first guitar. And I remember doing that for my first electric guitar, really working hard for it. And if I didn't. If I was in another situation, it would have been impossible, and I would never have music in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't know what my life would be like. So if I could, we could take that away, that burden away, that's pretty amazing. Feels really good.
Totally. All right. Let's learn a little bit about you now that we're several minutes into this show.
Right.
Are you a Jersey guy?
Oh, yeah.
Born and raised? This area?
Well,
like this Monmouth County area or whatever?
I actually found out I was born in Staten Island.
Oh, my God. Right? See, I was getting a little bit of a vibe, but I'm just kidding.
I was born in Staten Island, then immediately whisked back across the border.
Sure.
Into Jersey.
Gotta get him out of here.
Yeah, and then I grew up in Old Bridge.
Okay.
So that's, a lot of cool musicians came from there. It's like a town where there's no venues or anything, but every night there was like 4 to 5 garages rocking.
That's cool.
So and you kind of try to find your friends and stuff like that. It turns out I was so weird. No one would want to play with me. I was like, you guys don't want to play Deep Purple, like deep cuts from Deep Purple.
Yeah, right.
No, they did not. There's a lot of like pop punk and stuff like that. So, but then I found my people though. And
that's good.
I've been this band that I've been in has really been a continuous continuation. I played my first gig when I was 15 years old. At the Court Tavern, in New Brunswick. Have you ever been there?
I have not been there, but I've heard of it, of course.
Yeah, you've definitely heard of it. There's the weird. It's all weird stories. It's like, wow, I've met the love of my life at the Court Tavern. It's you get a beautiful evening.
Yeah,
I'm sure some people did, but it was that was like the best introduction. Like 15 years old, we could only play Sunday afternoons.
Yeah,
and it was still insane on Sunday afternoons. But whatever New Brunswick ordinance they had was allowing this 15-year-old kid to book it. I'm calling up like, can I book a show? I have my band together. And we played shows and then we started like building. That's how like we learned how to build through like grassroots.
Yeah.
Just like word of mouth.
Yeah. A little DIY action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the original DIY guy.
I mean, look at this. This is about as DIY as it gets. We got all sorts of plugs going on over here. Okay, so music, obviously, as a kid, super important.
I skipped right to that. I went from born to playing guitar in that conversation.
Well, maybe that's the way it was. For some people, it is pretty early on. I mean, 15 is still pretty early on.
But I learned to be in a band, though. Like, I never wanted to, like, hang out with a guitar. Like that, like I just immediately, like I got a guitar, and within a week I put a band together.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to play the guitar, but we had a band.
Right.
And we were terrible.
Sure.
but we were out there working it, you know, and you kind of learn that.
honestly.
And then you just say that you're punk and it's okay.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to know how to play
Yeah.
any music. If you just say you're a punk rock band,
Right.
that it's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
So I have a question. When you said like when all the garage is open and you mentioned like pop punk or whatever these bands were playing like in your area and you wanted to play something that was like a little bit different.
It's atrocious. Yeah.
Where were those influences, I guess, coming from? Home or
Yeah, a lot of stuff from home. I was. This is so weird. Whenever I sell this story, my family thinks I'm like slandering them, but
Sure.
I like it. I was like not allowed on the internet.
Okay.
My parents were just like, no, there's there's
In some ways, that's probably
to
smart.
catch a predator stuff going on. Get the kid off the computer, and there was nothing but like records.
Yeah.
I had nothing but records and like kind of older music, but even like, and I got Beatles were like early ones. I think everybody has that Beatles
Yeah.
intro, and I still love the Beatles to this day. But there's also like even before that, listen to like Little Richard and stuff like that. That's really where I was pulling a lot of my stuff from, and like Howlin' Wolf. It just quickly went there.
Yeah.
To almost like pre-rock and roll stuff, and then I just listened to every record I possibly could after that. So it was kind of weird because I was also like an outsider as far as like band etiquette. I mean, maybe like scene etiquette.
Yeah.
I didn't know what like a scene
Sure.
was. I just knew music, and I
Yeah.
knew I wanted to be in a band.
Right.
And that's just fueled everything. I don't know what happened. I just like, just one day I woke up, I was like, I need to play guitar.
Yeah.
I need to play this. Like AC/DC, I loved AC/DC.
Yep.
It's funny because everybody looks at them as like this mega band. They were outsiders.
Sure.
They were different. They were so different.
Yeah.
The 80s, kind of like all that hair metal stuff kind of was like kind of a little bit of copy of them, or like Van Halen or something like that. But they really, at that time of like Peter Frampton shit, they were, can I swear by the way?
Totally.
Okay.
It's a Jersey podcast.
Yeah, I know. I just been saying, I think I've said fucking shit about 20 times, and I'm like, every time I say it.
Literally happens all the time. People will curse constantly and then say, is it okay if I curse? And
that
then I'm
cool?
like, it's fine.
Did I just cost you money?
No.
Or time to
Our sponsor,
edit
the New
me?
Jersey Lottery, loves it,
Dude.
actually. They don't love it, but they're okay with it. They understand that it's going to happen.
They know that guys that swear like sailors are the ones buying the tickets.
Exactly. Yeah, right. And they're the most honest.
My
on the internet.
lotto numbers are 4, 20, 69. No, but I was always gravitating towards people that were outsiders.
Yeah.
And weirdos, but like kind of not trying to be weirdos. I had a very specific thing, and I've kind of fallen very much into that as well. Like, I don't want to be an outsider. Everything I do is different.
Yeah. Right. When you put this band together, like you get the guitar, you put the band together, granted, you're 15, so like nobody really knows what the hell's going on when you're 15.
Well, you think you know.
You think you do. You think you know everything,
that's
and everyone
going on.
else is a fucking idiot. But
I figured it all out.
exactly, like, this is it. But when you get to like your first, I guess, like rehearsal or practice or whatever, are your bandmates like, fucking guy doesn't even know how to play guitar?
No, I force myself every waking moment from the buying of the guitar to the rehearsal to get something. And I was like, I need to write songs. So I had like 5 songs that were like one chord,
Yeah.
But I had been planning that band in my mind for years at that point, and then I finally got the guitar, and I had the chord, the 3 G, C, and D, and and the power chord, and we just made it work. It's very.
Do those recordings exist anyplace?
There's some, they're
That's cool.
deep, But I was also recording everything,
Right.
Yeah, like I was like, this is for the box set, dude.
Totally.
20 years.
The early years.
Because that was what I loved, like all my bands that I loved were long gone.
Right.
Like long gone, except for probably AC/DC. And I loved, I had like this Robert Johnson, everything he ever did.
Yeah.
So it's like 300, I'm not sorry, that's Howlin' Wolf. But I also had a Robert Johnson one, which is like, I think it's like 60 recordings, and it's like, but but some of them are half recordings. Some of it's like one's like 20 seconds of "Sweep My Broom."
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I loved that. I love the documentation of it. Too.
Totally.
And like the it being the recording isn't like, and I love this too. I love every aspect about music, but what initially got me was this kind of historical artifact that can't be touched. It's a sound.
Moment in time.
Yeah.
But like your interpretation of a moment in time almost.
Yeah, and it's and I also love the records that are heavily orchestrated. But I mean, that's why our first several records, include even in this Connor Bracken Mother Leeds Band, are live records.
Right.
The In the Light of the Day, our first full length was we tracked that over a course of a weekend. We tracked everything day one and mixed everything day two, and then that's it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I love that. That's like how Black Sabbath did it.
Sure.
I love these guys that don't have a lot of money, and they're paying for it themselves, don't have record labels, and they go on to be the ones that are a little bit more memorable.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
When you're like writing songs and stuff, and I guess like, you know, over time, like as you continue to do it, you get better at it. Like you just put the reps in, so to speak.
Yeah.
But were there any people maybe like at this point in your life that were kind of helpful in kind of that journey, or was it really just kind of like nose to the grindstone, just knowing what you liked and knowing what the sound was you were going for and just kind of pushing?
There's
that on
definitely people
yourself?
that helped me, but I think the people that helped me the most were the non-musical people.
Yeah, these are just staring at me, by the way.
Dude, grab it, dude. Come on.
I'm gonna take this label home and put it in my book.
Dude, you take that off as the memory, but I think we could get you a label that's not on a can too, if you want.
Well, it's kind of
Is that part of the
it's a
ritual?
little bit of the ritual. I know that sounds so weird, but it's like, you know,
gotta-
bring it home.
It's the blood sacrifice. Oh yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but
No, it was
thirsty.
it's like the non, like, you know, my dad, love him. He would always be, you know, not letting me just have fun with it.
Sure.
Which sounds bad, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do this, you got to do it for real.
Right.
There's no just looking like a rock star and hoping someone helps you out. You got to
Totally.
really go for it.
Yeah.
And other people too, just like, you know, it's kind of like a constant reality check, but never saying you can't do it.
Right.
It's, you know what I mean? Like everything people allow me to shoot for the stars, but never just going for it. Like there needs to be a plan here.
Yeah. If you're gonna swing,
Yeah.
take a daddy hack, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everything is that you can imagine is possible,
Right.
but you need to legitimately think about it and go for it and not just be like, yeah, I'll work out, you know, but sometimes you have to, because sometimes there's like,
You gotta lean in.
if you do everything you can, there's like half of it is up to like fate.
Sure.
But, you know,
Yeah.
it's, and that's always kept me going too, you know, because there's been very low points. Because this is, I've never like, I was in bands, I was just hanging out, and then a couple years ago, I decided to put together this band. This has just been an obsession of mine literally since I was a 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You know, so it's almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
So I'm having fun. I'm having fun
Sure.
with it now.
As long as you're having fun.
I've always had fun too, though.
Totally. Well, that's the most.
That's the
I mean,
thing.
not the most important thing.
That's where
but
my
it's a
fun
big
is.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 15.
Did I answer your question?
I don't
by
know.
the
I
way?
forget what my question was. That doesn't matter. We're telling a story. So you're 15. You're playing these shows in New Brunswick. The band's kind of like coalescing a little bit and getting better, I would imagine.
Yeah. At that point, so that wasn't even this band. It was like a band I put together. It had a million names. It was a different name every show.
Like in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
band name I call it. Yeah.
And you know what, those were kind of the guys in it. You know what I mean? I remember I said we should talk about. We could talk about this way back in the day.
Yeah.
But you know, there were guys that I was friends with, and it was very clear. Also, learning that this isn't for everybody.
Totally.
And you
You got to be around the right people.
Yeah, and I'm, you know, not to cut ahead too much, but I love where we're at because I have found the right people.
Yeah.
And but during that time, it is learning that like this want that I have, this like need to go do this to the nth degree is not an easy goal or shared by many other people.
Right.
So you have to really be ready for it.
Yeah. 100%.
And go for it.
I think like that's also something that I think is interesting too, from the standpoint of like when we're talking about, having the right people around you.
Yeah.
One of the things that, especially now that we have like the radio station and all that kind of stuff, that really fascinates me about music as a whole is like the business side of all of this and how
huge part of it.
If it might be the biggest part to it in a sense, because you can create, you could do a podcast all day, you can make music all day, you could do whatever you want, but if no one hears it, it's just shouting into a void, and you'll make like a penny, maybe at some point if you're lucky. And so is that, I'm sure maybe like when you're 15, not necessarily like at the forefront of your mind, but getting older and being knowing that you want to take this more seriously, at some point you have to be like, all right, we need to know what this piece of it is.
Actually, right away, I really wanted to be part of the music industry.
Yeah.
I really loved it. Like, I think like having role models that were kind of more DIY was important, because it wasn't like looking for a big record deal that does not exist.
Right.
Especially in 2024.
Yeah.
And kind of just wanting to own it and like really being this like self-sufficient project. I'm proud to say we've never lost money on a tour.
That's great.
Like even like early on, like that was like it was funny. I came home and I'm so proud. I'm telling my dad, I didn't lose money.
Right.
Guess what? I broke even.
Yeah.
And I was legitimately very proud. And I still am.
Yeah.
And we do that, you know what I mean? Because it's incredibly hard. But it's like having a business with, like supply and demand. There's no demand.
Right.
For what I have.
Yeah.
You need to make this demand. And there's nothing more I like about it is going to, like, hitting the road, going to a bar, like a Roadhouse type bar.
Sure.
And no one knows who you are, and winning them over.
Yeah.
Is really, that's like the rush from New Brunswick days.
Yeah.
It really is. It's the same rush.
Totally.
I have a bit more experience now, so I hopefully know how to sway them a bit more.
Sure. Right. You know the things to say and not say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. More so not saying.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
more about not saying anything.
Yeah.
And just singing your song. But it's, yeah. I've always wanted to be part of the business, and I always thought, wouldn't it be great if me and my best friends could make a living off of something creative?
Yeah.
And own that, and own our lives too. It's like about owning your life. I
Totally.
think, and not having to be beholden to some other thing.
Yeah. I love that. Because, like I said, that's something that really, when we did the first Jersey Fest back in May, that was kind of like my first, like, I don't play an instrument. I don't know anything. But when we put on our first show and we had to, like, book bands, like, obviously it's all Jersey centric. So we were filling the bar with Jersey beers.
So I'm out. Staten Island.
Yeah, Staten Island. But thank God we had this interview, because we were going to book you for May, but not anymore. But just kidding.
I've been alive for 30 years, and for 29 and 10/12 of them, I've lived in New Jersey. I might.
We'll have to take a poll of the rest of your band.
If it's okay.
Yeah. So we, and like that was kind of my first foray into just like the music business light, right? So it's like, put it on a concert. That's a thing. Part of the business, but also not necessarily, being the one that's playing the music. But then now with the radio station, also kind of like getting in, knowing what the licenses and all that kind of stuff are, and how to, like, what the royalties look like.
Right. And how much of a mess is it?
It is
as far as like a
ridiculously complicated.
And it's not guaranteed that it will get to the artist.
Right.
And also I really never like getting upset about it, because even though we should be upset about it, I'm like, it's like almost impossible. So it's like you kind of have to just like look out for yourself.
Spit into the ocean. At
it
a
is.
degree. Yeah.
No, it is. And you got to pay up BMI and ASCAP and all that stuff. And it's my job to make sure I go get it.
Yeah, so we're playing your song, so go fucking get it.
Thank you.
The Mayo Performing Arts Center is the heart of arts and entertainment in Morristown, New Jersey. MPAC presents over 200 events annually and is home to an innovative children's arts education program. To see MPAC's upcoming schedule of world-class concerts, stand-up comedy, family shows, and more, head to mayoarts.org or just click the link in our show notes.
At what point, kind of like in this trajectory of, you said almost 20 years doing this, from a kid to now, so we're basically the same age, if I'm doing my math correctly. Like, I'm 34.
Okay.
So, when over the course of this,
You had a full you were a high school senior when I was starting to play. No, you were in college when I started playing gigs.
what year was that?
I was 15 in 2009.
Okay, yeah, I just started college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what the hell was I going to ask you now?
I fucked
This
you up.
beer went
I'm
right
sorry.
to my head.
No, I fucked you up. You had a thought.
No, we were talking about over this course of this, almost 20-year run now of you kind of growing into this thing that you're obviously very passionate about. Was there ever a point in time where it kind of like clicks in and you're just like, okay, I feel pretty good with where we're at now. Like, this is something that I can actually make work? Or has that ever happened?
Since day one.
Yeah.
Just like to not knowing that I could make it work, but just knowing that I know people that have, and it's like the meme with the guy putting the clown makeup on. If I work hard enough, I can make it,
Yeah.
But it's true though. If you do, but you have to be very creative.
Sure.
Like you have to really think outside the box. And I really, I've pivoted the business side of things many times because of just the way the world is, and you have to. Tomorrow is never promised, so you always have to figure out your business plan or what your just basically plan of attack is. Like, for the next, I always look a year, 6 months of the year out. What are we doing? We've never, for the past 10 years, I've never not been doing something.
Yeah.
Except for one stint in 2015 where we just took like a 3-month break. And even then I look back on that as the last break I took. And even then I wasn't breaking, I was just writing songs.
Sure.
But I've just known that I've always wanted this and I just need to do it and make it work somehow. And wherever I am in life, I'm making it work for me and my band.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So it's, there never was a moment other than, like, literally from day one, like, again, I bought my guitar to start a band. And like, I talk to other people, I think that's how it works. And they're like, no, so-and-so played guitar, and I played guitar for 5 years, and then I joined a band.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? You didn't
Right.
you didn't just stupidly buy, like, and that's kind of part of, Field of Dreams kind of
Totally.
idea of
Build it.
Like my I got
James Earl Jones.
yeah,
RIP.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's most of the guys in my first band, I had them steal their brother's instruments
Right.
to join my band. They never touched an instrument, and we actually made it sound good enough to get a bit of a following going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that band kind of fell apart, and then I started what originally we called Leeds, and we lengthened it because it turns out it's a lot harder to steal the name Leeds it's a lot harder to steal the name Connor Bracken and Mother Leeds Band on Google than Leeds.
Yeah.
Leeds was very,
It's like super
turns
specific.
out
Yeah.
there's a lot of things called that already.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
my mistake.
That's all right. Well, that's learning the business,
Yeah.
We're also going to jump ahead a little bit, but what was the show at House of Independence after coming back, like the first show back there?
Yeah.
I've watched the YouTube videos of that, and it looks incredible.
It was electric, dude.
Yeah, it looks so amazing.
It was such an affirming moment. It really was, because we were constantly being looking down like the black hole that was COVID.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we really, I love this band, man. Like, even though, like, I'm kind of the head of it, like everybody, that we're working together with and kind of being able to keep going, like, we never stopped. That was never a question. Like, there was times where we had to be apart. Okay, that was time to start working on another record.
Yeah.
That's when we, that's the first time I ever made a demo. I never made a demo. Everything, our first record was live. So I would write a song. There's a couple of songs where I would write it that day, bring it to the band, and then after hearing it, refine it. And this is before COVID, but we would rehearse 3 days a week, and I would just, by the end of the week, we'd have a finished song.
Yeah.
We did that for about 10, 15 weeks, and then we had 10 songs, and I was like, all right. And then I looked up a studio, and I'll get to that later. But anyway, with the House of Independence show, we were waiting for so long because we announced it before COVID. And
Right.
It was like this carrot dangling. And I was talking to Jim Norton at House, great guy. And he was like, every couple months we check in, he's like, so yeah, still sucks. Still seems bad.
Yeah.
That curve that I was, we fucked it up.
Yep.
So
It ain't flat.
so it's
Yeah.
not flat, brother. So we kept pushing it back, and and we ended up releasing a record, and it was like we started looking at the online stuff at that point, like really finding people, and we started building a good base like online of like people abroad. Like I really want to get over to Europe at this point from what we're seeing, and I'm like, people reaching out and like DMs, and I'm like translating French to see what they have to say. It's like really heartfelt shit. I'm like, damn, makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But I need to get on a plane. It's really expensive.
Also true.
But I really wanted to come back and play a show, and we eventually got to play that show, and it was just, man, I was so happy. It was so good. It couldn't have gone better, and it sold out day of, and we were
That's
hustling.
amazing.
Yeah. It was like before doors, because it was actually funny. There was like 2 tickets left.
Yeah.
Or no, it was like maybe 20 tickets. There was like 20 tickets left. And I was like, I really want to sell it out. I think it will be. And I didn't know this. Jim knew it, and he knew how much it meant to me, because we actually, over the course of COVID, we were talking on the phone, and we got to know each other. And he knew how much it meant to me to like sell this out and make this like the biggest show we've ever done. And he just went outside and put Sold Out on the marquee for us before telling me. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And it turns out Limp Bizkit got COVID. And then everyone from the Limp Bizkit show tried to get into our show.
Yeah.
And so there's like a line out the door of like new metal people.
Amazing.
Are they new metal?
I don't know.
No, there's something.
I'm learning all these things.
There's something though.
Yeah.
They're having a resurgence, aren't they?
They have
Good.
Is that the one? Limp Bizkit's the one that has the new lead singer, and it's a girl.
It's Linkin Park.
Linkin Park. That's what I'm thinking.
That's Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Limp
Bizkit,
Bizkit breaks
Linkin Park.
stuff.
Right.
They're
they
breaking
break-
stuff. Fred Durst with the backwards hat
Yes. Right.
at Woodstock 99
Yeah.
suing a riot.
You're right. Got it. Put that in my. I should put that in my notes.
Write that down. That's good.
Jot it down.
Jot it down. Need that for later.
When you were telling that story, and you were talking about the album too. Can we pick that story back up?
Yeah. So I basically, we were doing that after high school. I started a band, and I really started working. I was never happy with the recordings. I was always trying to get them in our house or whatever, or like it wasn't there. And I was like, man, I really want to make like a real record, like fully live, because every time we try to record things separate, this sounds dead.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play to a metronome. I do now. I've learned.
Growth.
I know. This is... Everyone look to me for what you should do. It should take you more than 10 years, though. You should figure that out sooner.
Well, it's like the Malcolm Gladwell thing, like the 10,000 hours. Sometimes it makes sense to leverage someone else's 10,000 hours.
But I learned metronome in my 999th hour.
Still in the 10,000.
But so I was like looking up records I really wanted to do, because I was like, I want to make my first full-length record that's a real record, like a real recording. And I just started looking up records that I loved. And a lot of the stories I was seeing is like bands couldn't afford hotel rooms, which I was also in that situation. And so they would live in the studio. And it also brings a vibe to it that a lot of, that Black Sabbath record, Born to Run was recorded that way, apparently. And I was like, that's cool. So I just Googled studios I could sleep in. And then I got a bunch of studio apartmts, and then music studios I could sleep in. And then the first one that came up was Soundmind Recording Studios. It's out in East Stroudsburg. up in the Pocono Mountains, and Dan was working out of a barn, and he had everything set up in a barn, and I just called him. I was like, "Hey, my name's Connor, and I have a band. We're in Asbury Park. Half of us are in New Brunswick." And I was like, this is like, way back when. This is in 2015.
Yeah.
And or 14, forget. I'll have to look that up for you. Jot that down. You just like edit in later.
Sure.
It was 2015.
14. Yeah. We'll say, I'll make sure I say them both at the end.
Yeah.
So we have like the recording of it.
You got it. And he was like, "Yeah, this should work. What's your budget?" And I didn't have that much money. And I pulled all the money I could possibly have. I have $800, and I think I could have $1,000. And I didn't have no rent money or anything.
Sure.
I was like, I really need to make this record, because I was also really feeling the pressure of needing to up our game or falling out of the race.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like that. I've never not had that moment though, too. You know what I mean? I've always wanted it, but there's always been like times where it's like, all right, we need to do this thing.
Yeah.
Forcing yourself to get out of your comfort zone and get to the next level, hopefully. So, he was like, "All right, yeah, we can make it work. Come on up on this date." He had like a date that worked, and we went up, all of us together, and we got into his studio, and he was kind of, I think, just starting SoundMine at that point. He could obviously give you a better timeline of that, but it was way different from what it is now. So we went in there, and we woke up at 8. I was up at like 5, so I was like, I can't wait. We got there the night before, and we set up all the amps, and then at 9 o'clock, we just started tracking, and we tracked in album order, because I was like, well, that's the order, right?
Yeah, right.
You guys
That's how it goes.
And we did like 2 takes of most of the songs, and the only thing that's overdubbed is there's one acoustic guitar and gang vocals. And that was before we started mixing the next day. We woke up extra early. We just did gang vocals. We did one pass through of each song. That was it. And the one guitar, and that was within 45 minutes, because all the backing vocals were 45 minutes, because we literally just played the album, sang along.
Yeah.
And it came out great. It was good, and it was like, okay, you can do this. And I kept going since, and I've been going back to Dan. It's funny because now this guy that was working out of his barn giving me this great deal, because I was just like starting out. He's fitting us in between his Grammy artists.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because he just got nominated for another Grammy.
Wow.
He's been working with Avenged Sevenfold and Ghost, if you know that band.
Yeah.
So like, it's just amazing to see what he's doing.
Yeah. It's so cool to watch
and he's never not turned me away either.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's still...
Yeah, the grow together stories, but not like, oh, nah.
Yeah, well, he's grown considerably.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but also remembering where he started, and obviously...
Yeah, we're talking about the next one right now. So
yeah.
It's funny. He's like, well, Avenged Sevenfold's coming in. You could come in on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like, all right, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's great, dude. He was just like, it's funny because over the weekend he was like, hey, Rival Sons, you want to come meet Rival Sons? I'm like, I'm at a wedding right now. And he's like, oh, shit. All right. And I was like, do I leave this wedding?
Yeah.
Like, no, I can't.
How far is
that? It was the guy who we went on our first tour with.
Okay,
so I was like,
cool.
all right, I gotta go to this wedding.
Yeah. Can we talk also to, so the first and only time that I've seen you guys live was at that Asbury rooftop show.
And talk about another electric night, right?
Totally. But that was crazy. The light show, like the lights on the thing. And
you want to half that shit? We most of that we brought ourselves.
Amazing.
And the thing behind us, I did on my phone the day before.
Yeah. Perfect. Listen,
but that's the DIY. That's the true DIY. I feel like DIYs now have genre.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that? It just means do it yourself. And having this attitude that you're not down and out on yourself. You can make something that feels as big as any festival.
Yeah.
If you work hard enough for it. And that's
Right.
what I felt that night. We really were able to pull something off. And the team over at the Lanes in Asbury Hotel, what a bunch of great people.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You told me before we started that lineup was like the first, I think you said like your bass player was.
Yeah, so he had to help us out on a bunch of dates because we needed a bass player we did a tour all before that too.
Yeah.
It was like the last night of the tour. And we needed a bass player, and I turned to my guitar player. I'm like, D, we really need somebody. And she was like, oh, my friend TJ could do it. He lives with me. And then I quickly got to get to know TJ and how much of a good guy he is and how much he shares this insane desire
Yeah.
to be a musician and to do it for real.
Sure.
You know, and also put the hard work in. And, you know, that's the kind of thing. There's a lot of people that want to be a rock star, but there's not a lot of people that want to sludge
Do the
23
stuff to
hours out of the day for the
Right.
one,
Exactly.
you know, and do all the work, and surrounding yourself around those people empowers you to do that so much more. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was his first home show with us. They don't happen as often. So it was good that he got that in, and it was really that night. It was like, all right, you're in the band now,
Yeah. Right.
you know, and
Yeah.
that was a great night to be in the band.
Sure. Not bad. Let's talk about the rest of the lineup though, so people can kind of like round
Sure.
out the Mother Leeds Band and who they are and what they do and how important they are in kind of this vision that you've been working on for.
Yeah,
as
it
long
was
as you
very
have.
much me and the band.
Yeah.
It's I do a certain role, but nothing would sound like it should without them, and I always wanted that, you know. Like I think we've now found the balance where so on guitar we have Di Viola, and she just rocks. I'm gonna say everyone rocks, dude.
Sure.
That's all they do. Her bonded pair, TJ, they're best friends for life, pretty much. And he rocks. No, he's on bass. And then Rich on drums, he rocks.
Yeah.
Rich has been with me for a long time, a very long time. And it was always, I remember we needed a drummer. And he was in one of the bands that closed one of our shows at the Court Tavern, and they were so loud, the cops were called to the venue.
Yeah.
That has music every night.
Right. Yeah.
The punk venue that has
Yeah.
music every night. The cops were called for a noise complaint because the amps were so loud, and it was such a great night. But he was the loudest, hardest hitting drummer I've ever heard in my life, and I called up the singer of that band. And I said, do you think he could play what we play? And he's like, yeah, he'd be perfect for that. And, you know, he's just been my Bonham ever since, you know. And Dee, I found her over COVID because she started posting videos. She was doing guitar covers of every Guitar Hero song. And that sounds corny,
Sure.
but
There's some hard ones in Guitar Hero.
yeah, but I was
A
also
lot of
like,
hand cramps in there. doing
yeah,
that, playing on
and
that
I was
plastic
also
thing.
like, you know what, man, this is showing versatility.
Yeah.
This is insane versatility. Like very different types of songs, all
Sure.
different types of styles, and she was able, you know, and I'm the writer of the song, so I'm able to bring her guitar parts, and I really know that she'll get them. Here's another thing. Dee showed up for her first rehearsal and had learned all the songs. I never taught her a song.
Yeah.
She learned them just by ear.
Just
'Cause-
listening to them on whatever.
Yeah, the recordings I sent her,
That's
she just
cool.
learned them all by ear. I never had to really, unless she's just like, hey, what's that one riff? And she knew it already, even though she was making sure of it, asking me.
Sure.
And TJ too. I've never taught him a song. And they are all set up to just do this for real, and we're all just, we don't play enough, man. We're trying to book as many gigs as we can, and we're like, no, we need another one. We need to keep going every day.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it's like you said, good to have, great to have. Well,
Yeah.
impossible to not do what you want to do without having like the right people in
The second you have to convince somebody to get in the van to go do the gig,
yeah,
it's
doesn't
over.
work. Yeah, right. It's over.
You're toast.
Yeah.
Dude. That's so much mental power to do that. And then it's like, then you're in that 2-hour ride and the person doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, and it's like, I never saw Led Zeppelin doing this. You know what I mean? Led
Yeah,
Zeppelin.
but you never saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, they never did it.
Exactly.
You know? Right.
Or no one saw the footage of the Beatles on the ferry to Hamburg. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I was going to ask too, because I want to check the time. Oh, we're money. Tours.
Yeah.
Right. So, I know earlier, was it this year? You guys played the Hard Rock in the city.
Yeah. We played it the last couple of years.
The last couple of years. And so take me through like starting, what was it? The Court Tavern?
Court Tavern, yeah.
Starting there and then being able to go play venues around the country.
Yeah.
That maybe like, are like pinch me moments for you.
Absolutely.
Like, what are some of the ones that you've been able to play that you're just like, holy shit, like this is so great.
You know what? I'll just rewind to a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We played our first festival date ever.
Oh, cool.
And
Where was that?
in Pittsburgh. We did a couple shows out in Pittsburgh. I've been trying to play Pittsburgh since we started this band. It's actually a tough egg to crack, that city. But once you do, there's some of the best people. Same with Boston. It's these hard-working, like, working class towns. They're tough. But as soon as you're in there, you're like, they want you to be one of them.
Yeah.
So we did that with Pittsburgh. We played a couple dates. And the first date, we were driving there, and the person was like trying to cancel the gig. I was like, no, I really want to play this gig. And I had a band that was all for it, which gave me the courage to do that.
Sure.
And they're like, all right. And we went out, and oddly enough, people showed up. I had a feeling about that night, and it's kind of those things you have to have the freedom to chase that feeling, that feeling. And I went out, and that was the first show we ever had where someone said, I found you on a Spotify playlist, and I just came to the gig. And I'm like, oh, thank God, it's working. It's not,
someone listens to those.
Yeah. And then that night too is where we met this guy, and he was like, I book a festival in town. I really like you. It's all locals, but we'd like to have you on it at some point. And then we did another gig, and we kind of kept in conversation, and then we went there. I knew the time that they were booking, and we booked a date for them. And we did it right then and there, and we got in conversation with them, and he brought everybody from the festival out, and there was very few people at that gig. But that turned into 2 months later us playing for thousands of people.
Yeah.
And it was really great moment. It really was. It was like stepping on this big stage, like a big sea of people.
That's awesome.
It was really like, wow. And it's funny because I knew people that used to live out there, and I remember I was like looking out, and I'm like, oh, I stumbled out of that bar like 10 years ago. Like, and it's like, and those local people, and that's the thing, like finding locals and stuff. Like, there's a place we play in Boston. The third time we played there, that's when the booker realized we weren't a local band. Because we just, we're just booking gigs.
Yeah.
We don't have a booking agent or anything like that. We're finding where bands are playing, and we go. And feel the dreams, man. You go out there and do it.
100%.
But anyway, to answer your question, there's a Hard Rock in New York's been amazing. Early on, we played a lot of legendary clubs that are gone. Or not even gone. I shouldn't say that, but there's a few of them. But this one isn't gone. But the Bitter End in like New York and stuff like that.
Yeah.
New York's got amazing stuff. Philly too. It's just like I got to play Starland when I like first started out. And I've been meaning to get back there. I want to play there again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keep booking country nights. I don't know if we'd fit on those, but we'll find something.
Yeah. Find it.
But every show, I don't know. It's anywhere you play. You know what I mean? It's funny too because our first tour ever, we had our biggest show was a basement show, but there was hundreds of people there.
Yeah, right.
And it made money for the whole tour. And then the next night, we played in a college town that was on spring break, so no one's there.
Perfect.
And the pipe burst that night, and we were sleeping in the venue, and then like people broke in. It was like just ups and downs.
Yeah.
And you just have to be willing to take them both.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Ride the wave.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. I was just
Did I?
curious, like, like the places that you've played, like what you like, and I get the vibe. Like you like a blue collar, hardworking town. That's a little.
I like
the edges.
I like places where I like going into a room where no one knows where we're gonna sound.
Yeah.
What we're gonna sound like. Like it's. But knowing that they're willing to stick around and see if you're good enough.
Yeah.
Because you have to be good enough, and you have to, people paid to be there, especially. It's an amazing opportunity, because if you get to be that amazing band that no one knows about, except for them,
you like a fan for life at that point.
and we do. We literally we announced a show in Philly in October, and we have people from the Midwest traveling to this Philly show now.
Yeah.
And they're like not related to me.
Sure, yeah, right.
Like they don't have
My
to.
cousin,
They want to come hang out with and it really is. It's weird talking about it like this, because I don't think about it like in retrospect that often. I'm always
That's why
going.
an exercise like this is important, because it gives you a chance to like
dude.
look at what you've been able to accomplish.
Do you accept my
in this.
insurance, dude?
Yeah.
You mean you have the therapy couch too and everything?
Yeah, I like the couch. I wish we could record on more couches, but
Just do it here, man. Just come here all the time.
just
Just be
down
like, this band has no relation to this brewery, but we're here anyway.
we're drinking Mother Leeds Irish style red. There you go.
Yeah.
But okay, so as we're getting close to the end of this episode, what are things coming for Connor Bracken and the Mother Leeds Band?
So, do you know when this will air? It'll be quite
Like the second week of October.
All right, so we have a new song that's out right now. It just came out, called "Back in Town," and it is I worked really hard on this. I'm trying to think, like, was it so like I put my knees into it. We
Threw my
spent
back out building this song.
the same amount of time that we did on our whole first record.
Yeah.
Or even our second record, where we took like weeks. I spent on this one song. We spent like months on this song. That kind of just our producer Dan was just coming off of some really massive records.
Yeah.
Like it was like really strange to be that he was on those records.
Sure.
'Cause not that he isn't talented, but you don't expect. Sometimes when you're not thinking about it, you don't expect anybody you work with to like do well, because they're working with you. Why would they be doing well?
But L or wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like, let's take some stuff from those records and like really, like not really the music, but like how like the work ethic they put into it and like the hours. So I think it was like a year of demoing, and I started really getting heavy into demoing, because we ended up over COVID, we made an acoustic record on our own, and I was all of a sudden kind of knew how to home record, and I was really, and this is kind of how other people do it, but it was kind of new to me. So instead of just doing what everybody else was doing, I was like, I'm gonna quadruple down on this, and I made this song release worthy 3 times, and then we went to the studio.
Yeah.
And in doing that, and we have some amazing friends on backing vocals on this one. I think it might be the best song I've written to date, and the amount of production we put into this, I think I'm very excited to get it out, and I really want it out. It's actually coming out. It's been a year since we recorded it, because we've also like been, like you said, the music business side of things. Just in the background, kind of like pitching this thing and really trying to get it the legs it deserves, because I'm afraid it isn't going to get what it deserves, because I'm afraid what this song's going to do to me if I don't get it. The song's going to come alive and kill me in some type of Frankenstein monster situation if I don't let it be known.
Yeah.
But that just came out, so I'm super excited for everyone to hear it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if people are listening to this and somehow they follow me, but somehow they don't follow you, where would you send them to learn more about you, the band, all the stuff that you have going on?
Whatever your app of choice is at Mother Leeds Band. And Spotify is always the best place. Connor Bracken and the Mother Leeds Band, and there's so much stuff there.
Yeah.
Like earlier at the beginning of the thing I was talking about, the artifact of sound. We really have a lot of cool things on there. We have our main songs that are been, playlisted, and those are at the top, but really there's a record store of stuff there to check out.
Yeah.
And Instagram is where we kind of, and TikTok, I guess.
Awesome.
I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah, same time.
MotherLeedsBand.com, you go see everything too.
Yeah, the hub, right? So, all right. So make sure we put the links and stuff down in the show notes. People just go click them, check it out. We'll put greensforthegarden.com down there as well because we're crushing it on episodes this year. We've had some amazing people come through. Yourself,
I know, dude. I'm with a Globetrotter now, dude. Come on.
Well, not technically. That hasn't even come out yet.
Oh, damn.
And that's a whole other thing.
Sorry, everybody.
It's okay. You'll be able to find that someplace at some point. We're hoping.
Delete that bit.
Yeah. But the Devils, we did the Devils this year with Ken Danico,
nice.
and the World Cup host committee we had on earlier this year. So many things. So many great things. So thank you again for doing this with us. Thank you to Twin Lights Brewing for the beer and also for
the beers we're going to have after this.
100%, because I got an hour ride home. I got to get hydrated before that. So, awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, of course.
Thank you, sir.
And, well, now I need to sign off. So this has been the Greatest for the RSA podcast powered by the New Jersey Lottery. I'm Mike Ham. He was Connor Bracken. We were at Twin Lights Brewing here. And thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.